Hi everyone, so today I'm going to do a review of this Hiboy S2 Pro electric scooter with the seat. I'm going to tell you everything you want to know and also things that some other reviewers may not tell you. So anyway, let's get started. So this one, it retails for around $610 with the seat, with discount, and without the seat is around $550. So it's pretty good deal, definitely an entry level price. Without the discount, I guess it's somewhere between $600 and $700. So much better price than the Ninebot Max or the G30 and G30 LP, and also the Ninebot E45 or the F40. Those are the compatible competitors. This one, the official rated top speed is around 19 miles per hour, and it has a range of around 25 miles. It has 10-inch honeycomb style solid tires, but actually if you measure it yourself, it's around 9.5 inches. And the ride is very rough. It's not comfortable at all, even compared to other solid tires such as the Ninebot E series. They have the 9-inch solid tire, but those are much more comfortable than this one. And this one, it has dual suspension in the rear, no suspension in the front, because I think it's more important to have a suspension in the front because your front tire is going to hit the pothole or curb first. So the rear suspension isn't really useful at all. Another thing is the seat doesn't have any shocks as well, so no suspension on the seat. The Ninebot and also the some other scooters with the seat, they have a shock in the seat itself. So this one, the seat is very hard at the top. Is a very hard top and no suspension. So the ride quality is really bad on this one for some reason. Some other reviewers said they're good, but I don't think so. I think even the Ninebot E series has a better ride quality. And the battery, it's a I think around 410 watt hour battery at 36 volts and 10A. And it has the as you can see, accelerator over here and the electric brake over here, and it also has a brake lever over here. This one is for the rear disc brake, and this one is the front electronic brake. So you have two options and they operate separately, which is something that I like. And this is the disc brake itself. For me, I try to use the electronic brake as much as possible to save the brake pads. The electronic brake is good. Not the best, but it's good enough for most occasion. But it's up to you if you want to use the disc brake or not. I guess, for me, it's just act as a backup brake. But another problem is that when I receive this, when I try to push this thing, it has some sound coming from the disc brake. I'm gonna try to simulate that. Not sure if you can hear that, but when I push it, there's some sound coming from the disc brakes. But when I ride it, when I'm sitting on it and ride it, there's no sound coming from it. So not sure why. Only happen when you're pushing it. And then this one, it has a reinforcement for the fender, so it's a good addition. But this one is still plastic. You're not supposed to step on it. It's not a brake. And then this is the hook for the folding mechanism, and even with the seat you can still fold this down. It just takes slightly longer time. This is the mechanism for the seat itself. I would say, yeah, it's relatively easy to install. But this another thing, a complaint is that this cover here is kind of, looks weird like that. And if you don't have the seat, this will be covering this part over here. So but now it's kind of ugly anyway. And then the stem here, I'm not sure if you can see that from this angle. It's pretty tilted. It's very tilted compared to most other scooters. That means you're gonna, when you ride it, either standing up or sitting down, you're gonna ride much closer to the stem or the handlebar itself. I think it's a good thing, but not sure. It's mostly a personal preference. And then there's a front motor. This is front wheel drive front motor, and the front electronic brake is over here. And then the this thing here is really narrow. The whole scooter is really narrow. I think it's around somewhere 6 to 7 inches over here. Is very narrow compared to most other scooters. So you're not gonna put both of your feet over here. I mean, if you're standing up, but if you're sitting down, it's slightly better, but still kind of narrow. And then the tire itself is again is 9.5 inch actually, and the width is around 60 millimeters. So again, it's pretty narrow. I think the Ninebot Max is around, I think around the same as the Ninebot Max, but the Hover Run Alpha is around 7 cm or 70 millimeters, so a lot wider than this. And the Evercross H5 is around 65 millimeter. So this one is relatively narrow. And then again, the top speed, it's officially rated at 90 miles per hour, but in reality, I mean, I ride in front of a speed radar, it's at 17 miles per hour. So it's overrated by around 10%, more or less. So something to keep in mind. And then I mean, the ground clearance is around 3.5 inches, so not that great, but actually it's a good thing if you don't go off-road. Definitely not recommending off-roading for this. But the low riding height means more stability at any speed basically. And then the display over here, very much like the Ninebot, is a single button. If you turn it on, you just press it once, and then it will show you the speed, the battery, and then your drive modes. It has two drive mode, eco and sport. Eco, I think the max speed is around 10 miles per hour. The sport mode is 19 miles per hour, but of course you can change that in the app. There's a Hiboy S2 app that you can customize several things. It doesn't come with the mirror. This one is aftermarket. And then the handlebar here is pretty narrow as well, and there's a bell over here. And then but yeah, everything is narrow in this thing. And then there's a hook. This is for the folding mechanism. This one is the charging port. One of the good thing about this scooter is the charging port is very high up the ground, so you're not gonna get dust or water when you're charging it. Not many scooter is, you know, the charging port is that high. And then I saw some reviews saying this stem is not very reinforced. So some people get the stem broken within a few months or few weeks. So not sure about that. That's one of the biggest problem with the Hiboy. But I don't know. Maybe they jump off a curb or something, or they are too heavy. I'm not sure. This one, it has a rider limit of, I believe, 220 pounds. At least it's stated in here. Oh yeah, this one, it shows you the battery, 500 watt motor, and then 36V DC, 11.6 AH, etc. and etc. And then yeah, so this one again, not supposed to be stepped on. And then the seat itself, this is a very hard material, and there's no shock in this seat itself, so it's a very rough ride. I mean, together with the solid tires, they're not as good as the Ninebot E series. So all in all, very stiff, very rough ride. I mean, if the seat has a shock, or you know, if it's slightly softer material, I'm sure it will improve a lot. But so far, this is the most rough scooter that I has ever ridden. But again, I'm talking about this in terms of sitting down. I'm sitting down all the time. I cannot say that for if you're standing up. And then this is the folding mechanism over here. You just press the as you can see here, you just pull this up, and then you fold this down, and the stem can come down. It folds just like the Ninebot Max. And so compared to the Ninebot Max, I mean, the Ninebot Max is around $300 more expensive. So to me, if price is a big concern for you, then I think this one is better than the Ninebot Max. But other than the price, if you don't care about price, then the Ninebot Max is definitely better in almost every single way. yeah, the quality is better. It rides much smoother. Another thing about the biggest difference is that this one has solid tires. The Ninebot Max has air pneumatic tires, so it depends on what you want. If you don't want flat, then this is better. But if you don't care, or if you know how to fix a flat, then maybe the Ninebot Max is better for you. But that's basically all the thing that I encounter so far. I mean, my biggest complaint is the rough ride. It's rougher than even the Ninebot E series. That one also has solid tires. And then the battery takes around 4 to 6 hours to charge. And you cannot see the battery percentage over here. You can only see that in the app. And then to turn it off, you just hold it for 2 seconds. And then if you hold it, when you turn it on, when you hold it, it will have, of course, the headlight and also the rear light. And if you press the brake, the light will come on. And it also has a red ambient lighting for this one. So something, if you want, is good. But and when you charge it, you cannot turn on the scooter will turn off when you charge it, so you cannot see the battery percentage. The only thing you can tell is the light on the brake. So if it's red, then that means it's charging. When it's green, then it means it finished charging. So, but other than that, there's no way you can tell the charging, the percentage, unless you go to the app. Or but when you're charging it, you cannot look at the app because the scooter is off. In order to use the app, you have to connect to the scooter, and the scooter has to be turned on. So that means when you're charging it, there's no way you can tell how's the progress. So that's one of my complaint as well. I mean, you have to unhook the battery, and you have to turn on the app just to see the percentage, or you can just turn on, it will show 5 bars, but that's not very accurate. And then for the downhill speed, I think there's a speed limiter for this one, so it won't go more than 20 to 22 miles per hour even going downhill. So there's definitely a speed limiter. So relatively, I mean, compared to most other scooters, this one is relatively slow. I mean, to some people it's fast, if you compare to the very, very entry level, some of them are 50 miles per hour, then this is okay. But compared to most other scooters, this is pretty slow, especially if you came from Ninebot Max, or especially some higher end scooter, this is slow. And especially this one is overrated its speed by 10%. Not sure about the Ninebot Max, but the Ninebot Max you can install custom firmware to increase its speed. But again, that's something, it will void the warranty, and also it could be a risky thing to do. This one you can, so far I don't think you can download custom firmware. So you basically limit to around 17 miles per hour, which is pretty slow. And going downhill, there's a speed limiter. And then as for the uphill, it can climb, I think, around 15% grade. I'm not sure the official rating, but it's not an excellent hill climber. Definitely the Ninebot Max is better. I think the Ninebot Max is probably the best hill climber in its class in the segment. Anything under $1,000 or $900, Ninebot Max definitely the best hill climber. Especially if you install the custom firmware. This one, it can go up a steep hill, I think around 10 to 15% grade at around 9 miles per hour, which is around the same as the Ninebot E45. And the Ninebot E22 and the E25 can only go up that same hill at 5 miles per hour. So this one is better than that one, but it's not surprising because this is more powerful. But the Ninebot Max can go up that same hill at 12 miles per hour with stock firmware. With the SH Max custom firmware, it can go up that hill at 16 miles per hour. So it flies up the hill for the Ninebot Max. So this one not that impressive compared to the Ninebot Max. So I'm not sure why is that the reason, because this one rated at 500 watt motor. But the Ninebot Max I think is only rated at 350, although the max wattage is higher. Yeah, but I'm not sure if this is the normal wattage or the maximum wattage. But overall, this is less powerful than the Ninebot Max in real life, in the real world. Not sure if the front motor makes a difference because the Ninebot Max has a rear motor. This one has front motor. So anyway, this is everything you need to know about this electric scooter. So anyway, thanks for watching and have a nice day.